Okay, we're going to get started. Someone is really kind person is going to run over and get a couple more copies of the syllabus for me. So if you don't have one yet, don't despair. You'll soon have one. And right now, everybody should have this thing, which is a release form. And if you were in the BCST 100 class that met earlier today, 2 classes with me, I'm sure you'll have a great time. However, you only need to fill one of these in. Okay, so if you've already filled it in, anybody already filled one in? You didn't get any? That's because I'm thinking, could you pass yours forward because you've already done them? Thanks. And one for Carmen. Yeah, there's one in the back of the syllabus as well, if that suits you. Nika, you've already done one, right? Oh, you filled it out already? Well, keep it for your files. Okay. So those of you who have a syllabus, the last page of the syllabus is also this form. So you find it one way or the other. So let me explain what it's all about. It's a release that gives us your permission to videotape and record the sound of you. Because here in this class, this is a recording studio. So there are cameras up here in the back. There are microphones. And what we do is we record the lectures and some of your comments and questions and interaction. And that is streamed and archived. So it's streamed live, and it's also archived online, which means that we have to ask your permission in order to film you. The other thing is it means that you don't have to be here at every class because you can stay on top of what's happening here in class by watching the stream or archiving. So that's a real advantage if you ask me. However, if you don't want to be filmed, there are a couple of places that you could sit, apparently, where you won't be seen by the camera. And if you don't want us to hear your voice, don't ask any questions.
Streamed right now?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Hi, Mom. So if that bothers anybody, I'd say come and sit up close to the front. Hey, Kyle. And also, there's a kind of a blind spot over here. Anybody want to get up and do it? I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Otherwise, fill this in. And of course, the ultimate option, if you don't want to be filmed or recorded, is you could stay and watch the stream somewhere else. You could not come to class if this bugs you. However, so fill this in. Another thing, if you wouldn't mind, this is voluntary, but I'd like to get a phone number that I could call you at the bottom of this, just in case I need to talk to you about something, attendance or something like that. And City College doesn't always have the best updated info on where to reach you. Okay. So with that in hand, just remember to turn that. I'll try to remember to ask you for that at the end of class. And what else could be said about that? Well, what this means is that you don't have to come to all the classes. And when we get to the little section about attendance, I'll tell you what the required days are for you to be here. So there are, I think 6 days during this semester where I'd like you to be here. But apart from that, you're free to follow along with the stream or the archive if you want. Okay. And so when we get to that section of the syllabus, we can talk about what those days are and such. I have that page. I hope so. Pardon me? I don't actually. Someone's bringing a few more over. I left them on the photocopy machine. So, cool. So just a sense, how many people have done any journalism before? Any? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Any Guardsmen Alumni? Yes. All right. Thank you. Good. I like what you guys do. It's always a good source of information about City College. Hey, Cedar. City College campus and stuff going on. And, in this class, a lot of really good writing is being done by Guardsmen people, so that's awesome. Etc. Magazine, anybody working on that? Okay, cool. Anyhow, I guess I'll get to know what your interest is in writing for the media as we go along. So this is I'm just going to go through a syllabus first of all, because that'll kind of keep me on board. My name is Malcolm Cecil. I grew up in Canada. I worked in broadcasting for about 10 years before I became a teacher. And I came here about 15 years ago to the Bay Area and started working here in 2008. So what else could I say? I teach some of the other classes. Some of you are in them. Some of you have taken them, audio classes, the performance class, the electronic media class, in the summer, podcasting, video stuff. And yeah, so my work background was 10 years working for a variety of private production companies and also the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, but as a contractor. And I started off technically, but I moved over to the production side, and so wound up writing a certain amount of kind of corporate scripts, especially because there was a lot more work there working for corporations than there was necessarily working for news media. But some of the skills transferred. There you go. You're registered in this one too? Oh, you forgot your jacket, just picking it up. Okay, sure. So so that's it for me. You can find me from 10 to 11 in the morning over in ArtX 170. If you want to meet up at some other time, you can email me and we can sort that out. 1:30 to 2:45 is our class time. And that's the basic information. So what do we do in the course? This course transfers to all the community colleges and the CSU, the California State University system as well. So the syllabus is consistent wherever this is taught. We teach writing for different forms of electronic media, and it extends into even screenwriting for television or the web. So I teach this, as you'll see from the projects, largely as a kind of informational writing, but at the end of the semester we do some more creative, script writing. It's pretty brief. We have like a 3-week section on that. So as I said, this is all consistent across wherever you would take this course, whether it's in the CSU as over in San Francisco State. This is Beca 370 is this class. Unfortunately, at the moment, that you can't transfer this class over there and get credit for Beca 370 if that's the case. But this is part of the AST degree that can go with you to any university in the California State University system. So that's cool. So we'd really do the basics of writing for electronic media. In part, it's looking at the various ways that radio, television, and the web, what kind of formats are required to write effectively for those different outlets, like what are the industry practices there. We also talk, just about some fundamental journalistic skills in reporting, editing, and fact-checking. We talk about the importance of specific things to broadcasting, such as writing conversationally so that it's easy for people to understand you if they're listening to you on the radio or watching TV where they can't kind of reread something very easily. Sure. And what's your name? Oh, okay. You can talk to me after. I'll give you an ad code. Okay, cool. So that's it. That's the basic course description. So we meet here, but there's the option of taking the class streaming or archived as well. There's a few specifics to that. We'll get to it on the next page. So in our learning outcomes, we should take a look at that. So one of the things we want to do is analyze advertisements and public service announcements from different electronic media into their various elements and style. So we're actually going to write a script for a PSA for some service over City College. It'll be your choice. So as we get prepared to write that, we'll also look at some PSAs and analyze them, see some basic ideas about advertising in electronic media. So that's that outcome. Outcome 2, describe the technical and aesthetic issues related to writing for the electronic media. Pretty broad. We'll definitely be talking about that. Outcome 3, illustrate through writing of stories and gathering of information from a wide range of resources, various writing techniques based on the unique nature of each media outlet. So we do, I'll get you in a sec, Kyle, or are you just stretching? Okay. So the unique nature of each outlet, I would consider, in the first week or two, we'll talk about some of the strengths of each of the different, media forms, whether it's radio or podcasting versus television versus the web with the possibilities for interactivity. So we'll talk about how that impacts the type of writing that could be done. And then as we tackle each of those media outlets, the media forms, we'll go through, some of the ways that you have to tailor your stories to work well within those media. All right, so we're done with that outcome. Kyle, what's up?
I'm on.
Really?
Yep. I worked the answer out in my head while you were talking.
Okay, all right. 4, write clearly and concisely in a variety of formats, including the radio script, the 2-column video script, and web formats. So we'll be working on all of those, and we'll talk about how those are generally written, show you some examples, give you an assignment to sort of write at least one of those in yourself, and we'll be looking both at the way you can reproduce that format and also helping you, craft some good content within that format. So it's not just how you lay things out on the page, but also how you're going to write. So those are our outcomes. New textbooks this semester. I'm excited about using it. It's a lot of work just digesting it and all of the insights that are in it. Called The Dynamics of Media Writing, Adapt and Connect by Vincent Filak. I have 2 copies that I'll give to the Rosenberg Library, so there'll be 2 copies on reserve. And then otherwise, it's at the bookstore, probably not the cheapest price there. And you can find it on Amazon. There's or another bookseller that is not taking over the world. And you can get it on Kindle and help them take over the world. And so that's it. It's a good book. I can't see you'd want to have it on your shelf longer than the end of the semester. So I would rent it.
From Chegg too.
Rent it from where?
Chegg, Chegg.
Yes.
It's like cheap to rent it.
Do you have stock?
Sorry?
Okay, I asked if you had stock, but it was
Oh, I don't have, no.
just a bad joke.
I
Okay.
used them for a screenwriting class that was a really expensive book, so.
Oh,
they're
cool.
Really good for cheap.
Chegg is good? All right. So let me write that up. Double G, right?
Yeah, like chicken egg.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Thanks for the recommendation. They rent, which is nice. Yeah, awesome. The other thing, once we get to dramatic screenwriting, which is a whole different thing, I found a pretty decent resource online, so it's free. It's a PDF, a crash course in screenwriting by David Griffith. So it has everything we would need for an introductory 3 weeks on screenwriting. It shows us format. It talks about, writing characters, dialogue. So it's plenty good enough, and it's free. So when we get to that, there's a link in Canvas for that. So you can download that. So any questions about the readings or the outcomes or anything? Anything you were hoping for from this class that you don't see in the outcomes? Or
Puppies?
Puppies? Puppies? Well, we'll see. Bring some in.
Say copies?
Puppies. She said puppies.
We'll change that on Thursday.
Is that right? Mo is going to produce? Or?
Yeah. No, he's not a puppy.
Okay. Alrighty, so the attendance policy, let's clarify then the streaming aspect of things. So most weeks you can choose to watch the video of the class, so you don't have to come to all the classes, but on 6 specific days you must attend class to present the work you've done. So the idea is on those days, because what we do is when we've done some writing, we'll share it, just have people read it out and talk about it. And that's always one of the most productive pedagogical things we do in the class. I can, advise and advise and advise, but it really helps. In this class, there's always people with a pretty strong journalistic sense, with an idea of what's newsworthy, with an idea of, what needs to be fact-checked and stuff. So it's great when you read something out and you get feedback just from your peers that's like, okay, did you think of this or that? So that's why we have a number of days where I'd like us all to be together so that we can do that. That doesn't mean these are all the assignments. There are some extra assignments, but these are the major things. There's like basically, there's one original reporting project that runs through this class. In other words, early on I'm going to ask you for a couple of story ideas. And then you'll research those, interview for those, and wind up writing them up for different media. So that's how we kind of keep the work to a manageable level, but still ask you to do some original reporting. Around that, there are also assignments where instead of being based on your original reporting, I give you stuff and you simply work with it, a fact sheet or a video reel or something. And you write something based on that. So those smaller projects are not worth as much. You don't have as long to do them. They come now and again, and there's no real reason that we have to read them all out, given that they're based on the same thing, all of them. But your original reporting, that's one of the coolest things in the class, because we wind up hearing a whole lot of different stories that you have, come up with. So that's, again, one of the things I like the most. So that said, in these dates that we have to get together are largely for you to share that original work. So August 22nd or 24th, today or next class, which is just to make sure you hear the syllabus and I know that you're here and stuff. So that's it. September 21st, that's where we're going to share our story ideas. So obviously there'll be a prompt before that, and but I'll explain what we're looking for. But basically, I'm asking you for two original stories, which involve somebody that you could talk to locally. So in other words, someone who's approachable, hopefully reliable enough that you can actually interview them. Somebody who's doing something interesting or has done something interesting, that you can talk to within the next few weeks. And you can take that interview and use it as information to base your original reporting on. So a couple of story ideas there, and then on October 5th, it would be the first fruits of all that work would be to write a radio script based on some of the interview that you did. Nick?
Would this be audio only, or would this be video?
Well, the first assignment, the radio feature is audio only, and the next one is going to be video.
No, but for the interview.
For the interview, I'd say audio only. Yeah. The assignment is not to create a transcript of an interview, but rather to interview, to gather facts, information, and call them sound bites. And typically what a broadcast journalist would do would be, certainly to record that, either on audio if it was for radio, or with video if it was for television. And they would extract short 15-second clips. And they wouldn't log the whole half hour, and they wouldn't write it all out and submit it. All that they would really need would be the information plus several clips, So that's something that bears clarifying. And when we do get together to talk about your two story ideas, I also take advantage of that time that we're all together to try to really explain what it is we're doing. Because it's easy enough to think, well, he told me to go interview someone, and then you come back with a 30-page typed out transcript of an interview. But that's not what we want. You know, you keep the interview, and you only extract the sound bites that you need to work with your reporting. Okay? And I'll play examples of the type of radio feature that we're talking about, so probably you'd understand that better too. So that would be on the 5th. So once you're done writing it, I just asked, you know, we don't have time for everybody, but just go around. Who wants to read out their radio script? And then we talk about it, how it went, and how you think it would play on radio, and is it, you know, cool story for the audio-only medium of radio or podcasting. And then November 2nd, we get together and talk about your 2-column TV script. So again, I'm saying take the same basic information that you gathered in your interview, maybe with some more sound bites, and work that into what's called a TV package, which is a standard of television and corporate video, which is where a reporter on camera presents the story, and then basically we segue into a pre-recorded 2-minute segment of interview with what we call B-roll, just pictures with the journalist talking on top of the pictures. So you're basically telling us a 2.5-minute story that you introduce on camera to start with. Remember, this is not filmed. This is just a script for it, but it's based on the original material you gathered at the start. You know. And then I ask you to adapt that for the web, which is something you do very commonly in a broadcast television setting, or I mean anywhere that you're posting video online, I guess. In that you've crafted a story for an audiovisual medium. Now you're posting it into a multimedia, but largely textual framework when you're on the web. So if you go to any television website or public, you know, go to KQED, you'll see the repurposing of the video story now with a life on the web, which means there are certain things you have to adapt. You know, you have to put your clips, your sound bites into quotations. They become quotes. You may have to change the structure of the story because broadcast and print stories usually work a little bit differently. We'll talk about story structure. You have to look at what kind of information was essential that was carried visually in the video, and you'll have to somehow supply that textually when it's written out for the web. Plus, there are all of the interactive features that come with writing on the web. So you can, you know, include, of course, hyperlinks to other pertinent stuff. You can conduct polls. You can, you know, do a bunch of different things that are all familiar to us. But you may not have thought of what would work really well with the particular story that you are adapting from your original reporting. So it's usually stuff we've all seen, but you know, this is your chance to say, okay, it would be great if we had a, you know, an interesting discussion FAQ or something here, and these are the things that I would like to, you know, include in the FAQ for this story. So that's the web version of your story, basically. And that brings to a close the kind of journalistic things that we'll be talking about. So on what is that day? November 16th, you'll come in and give me the URL to your web story, and we'll pull it up and just take a look at it. And then finally, the last thing is on December 21st, which is our scheduled final exam. But we'll probably have the final exam before that, in last day of class, just to give you another week to write your little dramatic script. So the last thing on the last day of the scheduled final exam will be, we all need to meet up here and we'll share your webisode, your kind of screenwriting thing. JP?
I have a question about the final exam.
Yes.
On the same day at the same time as Broadcast 100?
No, Broadcast 100 is actually, well, it's on the 21st, but that's the day I intend to give the exam for Broadcast 100, versus in this class, I intend to give the final exam on the last day of class, the last scheduled day, yeah, the 14th, and save the 21st for a little talk about the webisode.
Yeah, because it's overlapping.
To have them both on the same day? Yeah, so this way they won't be. Yeah, yeah. All right, so that fixes that a little bit. On the page, page 3, I guess, and I didn't put page numbers, silly me, is the official list of everything that we're going to cover. And we might just look at that while we're on the topic of those assignments. So we've already talked about a bunch. As I said, the spine of the course is that original reporting where you come up with a couple of story ideas and then jump in and research and interview for one and write a radio script and then eventually adapt that into a television package and then you adapt that into a web package. So we talked about that, right? All that's your original reporting. But then I said there's a bunch of stuff which is basically exercises. I give you things that you adapt. So the first of those is what's called a radio reader and wrap. So those are just 2 short news forms that you'll hear on any commercial news radio like KGO or KCBS or something. It's like your kind of 30-second or 45-second news item that you'll hear on the drive into work. So those are short and easy to write, and they tend to be like almost all lead and factual information, but they need to be conversational, they need to flow, they need to be accurate. So I give you some facts and we talk about what those story types are, and then you write those up. It's pretty short. So that one is due on September 12th. Then we got the story ideas, which is we talked about. I ask you to give me your questions for your interview, just to see how you're doing on that. And we have a week where we talk about interviewing. There's a good chapter in the textbook about interviewing. Then the radio feature we talked about. But the next little exercise type of thing is a television story form called the VOSOT, which stands for the voiceover sound on tape. So a good 60% of your nightly news broadcast, whether it's on, Vice or on, KTVU, is going to be what we call VOSOT, which is pictures with somebody talking on top of them. So there's a particular challenge to writing for that type of thing in that you want to kind of add on to the pictures that people are seeing and make them understand what those pictures are, what they mean. But you don't want to just say, here is a policeman. The policeman is walking up the stairs. He's pounding on the door. And, it's like, so you want to know what people are seeing, but also write something that tells a story while they're seeing it. Because we're basically getting audio information and video information. So that's an interesting challenge. So I give you a tape. Some people have already seen it because they've been in this class before, of a kind of a SWAT team exercise in a high school. It's kind of cool. And so you write a VOSOT about that. We see the pictures, but which pictures, and what are you going to say on top of them? Good? All right. So that's and then we do the TV package, which is that original reporting thing, the web package. We get on to that PSA, right? So one of our learning objectives was that we would learn about various approaches to advertising. And we said that we would look at some examples of commercials and public service announcements and sort of connect those to some of the concepts of writing persuasive marketing and advertising in the textbook. So we'll first, in 1 week, we'll kind of analyze some scripts, and you'll do what's called a creative brief, which is it's a pretty simple document where I see it as a kind of an agreement between yourself and a client, because advertising, even public service announcements, they're always done for somebody. And having done a fair bit of that type of work for hire, I think it's important that that a lot of these projects have to begin with a kind of a sketching out of what the objectives are, who you want to talk to, obviously what you want to say to them, how will you evaluate whether you successfully achieved that goal. And I think that's really important when working for hire, even doing a corporate video, it's the same thing. It's like, well, is this a training video or is this a kind of an inspirational, motivational video? It could all be about selling, whatever, health drinks or something like that, but it's very different. So, the creative brief is a way of just getting that out and on paper. And there's a lot of ways of doing it, but the textbook recommends quite a decent way. So you'll do a creative brief for your PSA, and then the week later you'll write a script, a 2-column video script. What do we see? What do we hear? It's a 60-second PSA. How do you present, the great services of the SPS here on campus, or whatever student services that you want to promote? So it'd be cool. And then the midterm and the final. So that's all the work that we're doing. As you see, there's a lot of relatively brief writing exercises with the longer term original reporting project that you do in several different media. So any questions about that? Great, good. Let's see, probably talk about the Canvas site right now. So if you're new to City College, Canvas is our learning management software. I'd be happy to demonstrate at the end of class just how to get what's called your RAM ID, which is the ID to log into Canvas. And also how to navigate and get around this site. So it's very important. Communication happens through here. The assignment prompts are in here. As you see, you can see your grade as it develops in here. There's a copy of the syllabus up there and other important stuff. The modules is basically how you get around on Canvas. So after you get past the front page, you get into sort of a week-by-week breakdown of everything that we're doing. So as you see, if I'm looking at, let's just look at this first week, which we probably won't be doing in much depth because this first class we get into plenty of discussion. But you see each week has its header. There's some questions we might want to talk about. But what you'll see will be the PowerPoints from the textbook. There's recommended videos that we can watch if we have any time. There's a web quiz. All of the questions on the midterm and the final will be drawn from these quizzes. So if you do these quizzes and you do well, I mean, you're basically reviewing for the exam. And that happens every week. Then when there's an assignment, there's an extra credit there, but like the radio reader and rap, that will appear there. And so this would show up to you as the prompt, and it says when the stuff is due, and up here you as a student will see something like submit your assignment, and you will navigate to the file that you have written and you'll put it up there. And then I can grade it and give you feedback that way. So that's kind of what's going on with Canvas. So anybody who needs a little help just getting into it or seeing what's up there, stick around at the end of class. And the other thing is, if you see any problems, and there probably are because this is a new site, because we used to have something called Insight and it went away, and so the incredibly laborious procedure of transferring everything that was there over here has happened, and I've probably screwed it up. So let me know if something doesn't appear that I said was there or something like that, if you can't make it work. Cool, so that's Canvas, and like I said, everything gets submitted in there. Another good thing, which I see is not happening here, is if you are following through the streaming service, I would like you to be able to engage with us, talk to us. And so there's something called chat in here, which we will make available to you now. Where shall we put it? Up here. And in fact, there's no reason that you guys should have pages. So this will appear in your nav bar on the side now. So if you click on chat, let's say you're streaming this at home and you're watching and you'd like to ask a question or interject a short and clever comment, answer something or whatever. If you just click on chat, this is like one long stream of chat, and you can post your whatever you want to say to us in there. And it's comforting for me to know that you're there as well. So you might consider when you're streaming this, just sign in and just say, hi, I'm here, or something like that. And then later on, you may want to participate through chat. And I'll keep my eye on it and try to relay, questions or whatever people say on chat. Okay, so that's another useful thing, and that's now set up. See, I told you I'd find stuff that I forgot. Okay, so any questions about Canvas or chat or?
You're just getting that streaming through all these fancy cameras up on the walls.
Right, and then we have Jody or Nick. I gestured to the wall, but there's their control room is behind you, and they're actually switching and doing stuff. Yes.
So they have switchers over there for the RoboCams?
I believe so, yeah, because she has several angles that she can choose. In fact, you're probably on camera now because you spoke up and asked a question. But you'd be pretty far away. Okay, so we're good about Canvas, and we have patiently reviewed all the work that we're going to be doing. Accommodations. So they asked me to read this out, and might as well. So if you need classroom or testing accommodations because of a disability, or have emergency medical information to share with me, or need special arrangements in case the building needs to be evacuated, please make an appointment with me as soon as possible. My office hours are listed above, 10 to 11 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays in ArtX 170, where all the broadcasting classes are. The idea is we're just going to get you connected to the DSPS, and that is a service here on campus which is dedicated to helping you do your best in a class. And if there's anything that they can do to help you do that, they will, and they'll work it out with me, so we'll have a kind of a formal understanding of anything extra you might need, anything that can help. So the telephone numbers are there, or you can just walk over to the library and find them as well. And but do let me know that there's something that we're going to work on together on that level. Okay. Then plagiarism. So since this is a course where all of the assignments involve writing, plagiarism is an issue that could arise. So plagiarism is defined as the unauthorized use of the language and thoughts of another author and representing them as your own. Intentional or unintentional plagiarism are equally serious offenses. I think what's meant by that is if you did a web package and took information from a secondary source that would flesh out some of what you did as original reporting, but you forgot to basically give credit to that secondary source, that would be unintentional plagiarism, I guess, because you would have not realized that you should do what's called attribution. San Francisco Chronicle reported that. That's attribution. If you do that, you're giving them credit for their reporting, which is what's necessary. In addition to that, you're also shifting responsibility for the truthfulness of that to the San Francisco Chronicle as well, which is a good thing to do as well. It lets people, gives them an idea of how reliable the other information you're using, but it also gives credit where credit is due, and so it's connected to plagiarism. So what you want to do is when you are writing scripts and using information from secondary sources, you always want to identify that. We're not going to use footnotes because these are scripts. Instead, you use the language, you write it into what you're actually reporting. And usually you can do it so efficiently people don't even notice. But it's there, and it's important. Attribution is really important. Then going on, the highest level of integrity is required for all quizzes and exams and assignments. So the other thing is you wouldn't want to cheat on an exam. You're expected to do your own work and have your own unique answers to questions. Anyone found cheating or plagiarizing the work of others will receive a 0 on the exam or assignment and face disciplinary action at the college. JP.
Quiz flashcards?
You mean to study?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are flashcards provided by the publisher. So I can make those available if you want.
But we're taking the quizzes on campus, right?
I'm asking everyone to be here, so yeah.
So we're taking the quizzes
On paper, yeah.
Okay. What about the midterm and final? Can we bring?
Yeah, sorry. By quizzes, I meant midterm and final because there are no quizzes. There's only a midterm and final. So those are taken in. Are they taken in here? Sorry, I'm confusing myself. One sec. What days am I asking you to be here? I'm asking you to be here for the reporting and not. Okay, so we'll take those things online.
Okay.
So your question is, can I use flashcards?
On the midterm and final.
Oh, like we did in the audio class. Yeah. I mean, let me get back to you on that, okay? Yeah. I was spending so much time thinking about how to cover the assignments. I wasn't thinking about, okay, how are we even going to handle the exams and stuff? So we'll see, okay? It's just, I mean, my issue is just, I've never taught a class where you can be here or not. And I'm trying to design things so that you basically get a decent experience whether you're doing this streaming or here in person. So I just need to work that out. But honestly, it is less easy than you'd think it would be, to me anyway. But I'll let you know, JP, well before the midterm and the final. Good question. So then the last part of the syllabus is just schedules, scheduling what we're reading, when, and what is due. So that's up there. I guess it's up here too. Week by week. Okay.
Like it.
Yeah, go ahead, JP.
If it's blank, like on September 28th, I don't see anything. Does that mean that we're doing the same thing that we did on September 26th?
Yeah, it's let's see, what's up for 9/28? 9/26. Radio interview questions. Sometimes it's blank because I've asked people to come in, but that's not the case. No, I mean, it just means that I'm not sure exactly what to put in there right now. That's all. Usually what, I find it, I mean, the more time we have to talk, we wind up using it, either talking about what other people are writing or talking about, the upcoming assignment or whatever. So we'll see. And if there's plenty of stuff we can talk about there. But yeah. Not known yet. Other questions, ideas?
Oh, just one thing, because the midterm is in person, because the final is in person, will the midterm also be an in-person test that we must attend to?
Great question. I'm inclined, again, let me get back to you, but my inclination is I'm already asking people to come in for what I feel are the most important things, which are those, 1, 2, 3, 4, those 6 days where we're doing stuff. So, I just need to think this through, but I'm likely to make the midterm and the final online so that people can do it that way. Because I want to make it as flexible as possible. So we'll see. Then I'm going to ask people, do you have anything against doing the quiz online? And we'll see. So I'll probably also offer it on paper to those who want to have it on paper. The reason being, not everyone has access to a computer and the kind of environment where they can do this exam, comfortably on a computer, elsewhere. So I'll probably do it both ways. Okay. Anybody else? thoughts on this? All right. Okay, I'm thinking that that's it for the day, and try to read up on the textbook if you can get a hold of it. That's pretty fast, right? If you can't get a hold of it, don't worry. We'll have the PowerPoints to start talking in next class. And can I get a hold of those release forms? So why don't you pass them all that way on your rows. Thank you. Also, just we'll have some more announcements, but we have a broadcasting club that's going to start up this semester. I'll talk to you about that. We have, thank you. You'll see some flyers up soon about career events that we're having on September 20th and October 3rd. We'll be having people coming in from the industry to talk about jobs and stuff.
Will there be jobs available on that day?
No, there will not be employers coming to interview you, more like professionals coming to talk about how you can make yourself an interesting candidate. Did I get everybody's? Peter.